Okay, today we have for our Pledge of Allegiance again is the National Junior ROTC from Garfield High School. They will give us our Pledge of Allegiance.
Trees and colors. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Post. March. Colors. Post. Post the colors. Ready. 2. Post. March. Order. Oh. Right. 8. So, Cadet Angel Harris, leading the color guard is Cadet Phil Anderson, and is Cadet Smith, and our newcomer today is Cadet Gaten. So, giving up their 3 minutes of their summer. Actually, takes longer than that to get them here and everything like that. So, appreciate the colors. That's hand. Left. 8. Forward. Oh. Forward. Mark. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. They always do a good job, and we appreciate them coming each and every summer, and the students take the time out of their schedules to come here just to give us a couple of minutes of just a pledge of allegiance, so we want to thank them again. Next, we have community reflections. Mansfield.
Hi,
How are you? Welcome back.
Thank you. While I was gone and the Monday that y'all had your last meeting, we had an Akron Public School student competing in the Jimmy Awards, and her name is Kate Klicka. She goes to Firestone High School. The Jimmy Awards are awards held at a Broadway theater, and she got to compete in that awards. She didn't win yet, but she's only a sophomore. The winners were chosen from winners of contests around the country, and as you might remember, she won a Dazzle Award, which was at Playhouse Square, and they got to then go on and compete on a Broadway stage. I happened to be friends with her family, and I was in a place with no internet, and we were trying to get updates. There are actually pictures of us hitting refresh, trying to get our phones to work. But she represented Northeast Ohio and Akron Public Schools very well. And we look forward to what else she has to bring for us, as she's just going to be a junior this year. So,
Great,
I wanted to share that. Great.
It's always good to see Akron Public School students doing well, especially at that level.
And I get to go see some Broadway shows next week, and we have, of course, a Bookdale graduate who won the Tony Award. I don't know if we got to mention that yet, and he won a Tony Award for costumes for Hamilton. And I look forward to getting to see those this week.
Great. Congratulations to him, too. Hey, Akron Public School students are doing good all over the globe, so that's what we like. Any other community reflections? We don't have anyone to request them. I'm sorry.
Well, I did attend the Project Learn GED recognition and graduation, which was a very nice ceremony. There were about 40 students, or adult students. And I know that there were a couple families that are LeBron James Foundation families, but they weren't recognized at that, so I don't know which ones they were. But very nice event, and very well done, and always good to see. And the speakers were good, and they kind of challenged them. Okay, you've got this far now. What are you doing next? It's not. Okay, you did it great. This was you've done it, now what are you going to do? So it was a very nice event. And then, you can talk about my brother's keeper.
We can share.
Yeah, I'll just say, I attended it, I'll let Dr. Walker talk about it, because he can. But we did attend the My Brother's Keeper event at the Akron Urban League, along with Coach Sibley. And another very strong event, and a lot of opportunity to work with the community on that one.
Yes, and that was a very good event sponsored by Senator Brown, Sheriff Brown, and had our mentoring program. You had iCare mentoring program, you had mentoring for Big Brothers Big Sisters, mentoring for the YMCA, and each of those persons, mentoring groups, brought some of their mentees, and the mentees talked about their experiences, or didn't, at least stood there, because some of them didn't want to share what their experiences were. But you saw the wide variety of mentoring programs that are going on, and especially our mentoring with EMC, faith-based community, and with iCare, and how that has had an impact on our community. So it's continuing that, getting more involved in that, and with the initiative coming from President Barack Obama with this My Brother's Keeper initiative.
And it included, actually, now I found my list now that, now that you started talking, I can remember where I put it. Also, the Head Start people, and Alchemy, and the one that was new to me was the Running Start Summer Bridge, which was the University of Akron program. So just a good group, a lot of programs that are working on mentoring students, so excellent.
And I really want to thank, or at least shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers screen team. They took a lot of time with adults and with children, just sharing with them, participating with them, encouraging them to do what they're doing, and just their presence alone, being there. It was very nice to see them. And then the drumming presentation by Alchemy afterwards.
I just want to say, to piggyback on something Debbie said, I do believe we will have some recognition for the I Promise 2 adults who from the whole Brown James Family Foundation who went through Project Learn in the near future here to board meeting.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing it up, Mr. Miller. That's something that I think will be good, because the kids are doing well, and the parents are doing some positive things too, so we hope to be able to recognize them in the near future as well. Anyone else for community reflection? Okay, we don't have anyone to address the board. Communication and recognitions? No communication and recognitions. I need approval of minute meetings for June 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any question? Yes.
I guess it's on my heart and mind. I don't want us to gloss over. So much has happened in the last week. We had shooting, killings in 2 areas, Minnesota and Louisiana. And then we had the very difficult and horrific events in Dallas. And I don't want us to just, as elected officials, as persons who represent a wide variety and spectrum of people, to gloss that over and be concerned about human beings and the loss of life on both sides. Because we know that Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, all lives matter. And once we begin a serious dialogue about race, about biases, about difficulties that we have, that's the only way we're going to solve some of these things. We are dealing with them as it relates to public education, but that affects all of our children. It affects our parents. It affects what we do. It spills out into all of that. And we, as a body, at some point need to say something that would address that, to let persons know that we are supportive of growth, development, justice, and us all working together to do what's best for our communities. Because it's a very hurtful and difficult situation, and it's very, very painful, particularly for me, as an African-American male, to think about what my son have to do if he travels from Cleveland or Columbus to Akron, and how that impacts. You know, if your light is out, if your tail light is out, if you don't have a driver's license, just any incident, things that you wouldn't normally be thinking about, but now that's pressed to the top of our thinking to make sure that everything's in order so that nothing would occur. So that affects our children that we're dealing with and will be dealing with every day. So I didn't want us to just let that go by without saying something, that we are concerned and aware that that's going on.
Thank you, Dr. Walker, because that was something I had here for us, President's report, that we need to all be able to work together for the betterment of the country. We know that there are different times of injustice in all aspects of life, but we still have to work hard together to make sure and to ensure that people are safe, not just officers or just some people in the community, but everybody. And that's very, very important. And I know we're not supposed to say a whole bunch when it comes to religion, but I think we all need to be able to pray and ask for help for our country, and not just the country, but for the world, because there's so much that's going on right now, so many difficult things and difficult times. So please, let's encourage each other and one another, lift each other up during these difficult times to work together, to come together and support those officers, because there are definitely good officers.
Amen.
And just no matter where you go, there is maybe a handful, one or two here that make it bad for everybody, but there are good officers, so we want to support them as well. So we want to make sure that everybody looks out for each other, which in turn we have to look out, that takes care of our kids, because that's the future. If we don't take care of the kids, then we don't have a future, so we have to make sure we take care of them. Okay, I'm sorry. Thanks, Reverend Walker. I didn't mean to get on that tangent, but glad for you bringing it up. So I need a roll call.
Reverend Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Abstain as I was absent.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Otterman?
Yes.
We have superintendent's recommendations.
Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 37 personnel recommendations. Supplement 1, the reappointment list for administrative staff for 2016-17, which is at your place. 2 personnel recommendations on supplement 2. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval, but before board members vote, we're starting our new procedure tonight where Kathy McVeigh will introduce some of the professional staff who are being recommended for promotions tonight, and then we'll come back for the vote. Kathy?
All right, for several administrative assignments we have tonight, first up, I'd like Mr. Robert Boxler to stand up, please. Mr. Boxler is a proud graduate from Ellet High School, who then went on to study at Kent State University, where he majored in geology and received a Bachelor of Science degree in 1985. In 2002, he became a member of the Akron Public Schools and began working as a program manager for the Environmental Health and Safety Department. He was promoted to the position of administrator in the same department in 2011. He has spent his professional life working on making work environments safe and healthy for APS employees, and developing a crisis plan is nothing new for him. Tonight, we are recommending that he be promoted to the position of Director of Facility Services, replacing Ken Ferris, who recently retired. Next up will be Ms. Cristabel Volchok. Chris is a graduate of Garfield High School. She attended the University of Akron and studied in the field of drafting. After working in the private sector for over 20 years, she joined Akron Public Schools in 1999. Initially, she was an architectural draftsman and eventually became a CAD technician in the architect's office and worked in the Office of Facility Planning and Capital Improvements. Her skills have now allowed her to advance to the position of Program Manager for Facility Services. Ione McIntosh. Ms. McIntosh initially graduated from Berea College in Kentucky with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration in 1992. 4 years later, she graduated from the University of Akron with a Bachelor's of Science degree in education, and then went on to obtain her Master's of Science in Education from the University of Akron. She joined Akron Public Schools as a teacher at Cyberling Elementary School in 1987, and has been an assistant principal at Barrett, Rankin, Cyberling, and Lincoln Elementary Schools. She served Akron Schools as an assistant principal at Goodyear Middle School and at Miller South Performing Arts School. She was also the principal at Forest CLC. For the last few years, she's been serving as an elementary assistant principal, and tonight we are recommending her to be appointed as an elementary principal with her assignment to be at Richmond CLC.
If I may take just a minute. As you hear my story, it's been a wonderful journey. I have to say that it's been a wonderful leadership journey here at Akron Public School, and I do need to thank Mr. James, I need to thank Dr. McWilliams, and of course Mrs. Kelly, and Mr. Dawson, and of course my family. I've just had countless other leaders within the building and principals who have given me their confidence, their support, and their training. My journey has taken me, like I said, to many schools, and I feel like I'm going to have the best opportunity at Richmond. As you know, Larry Bender, his leadership has created one of the highest achieving schools in Akron Public Schools. And as I told him, I'm going to have to erect a statue and big shoes I got to wear when I walk in. But I do have to say what really comforts me is to know that LA community support schools and they support education for their students, and so that's a wonderful feeling to walk in. So I really look forward to becoming a part of that LA team and really serving in the cluster, and I do want to thank the Board of Education for this opportunity.
That brings us next to Mr. Larry Bender. Mr. Bender is a proud graduate from Garfield High School, graduated from Bethany College in West Virginia with a Bachelor of Arts in Education, and received his Master's in Educational Administration from Ashland University. He joined Akron Schools in 1989 as an elementary teacher at Barber Park School. He then worked at Mickey Bright School for 2 years prior to moving to Reedinger Middle School as a teacher. In 1999, he became an assistant principal and worked at middle schools Reedinger, Perkins, and Jennings. In 2006, he was appointed to the principal position at Richmond CLC and remained there until tonight for tonight's recommendation to be principal at Higher CLC.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity. We'll do great.
I'm just glad you're just right down the road.
Thank you.
All right, Walt Nolan. Walt is a graduate of Revere High School. He attended the University of Akron, where he earned his Bachelor's of Arts in Education and then his Master's of Arts in Secondary Education. He began his teaching career in the Buckeye Local School District in 2006, where he taught physical science, chemistry, and physics. He then took a teaching position in Charlotte, North Carolina, and taught science there. In addition, he was also an assistant swimming coach. In 2008, Walt joined the Akron Public Schools as a science teacher at Ellen High School. He remained in that position until 2011, when he began to spend some additional time in the area of administration. He was trained through our own Aspiring Principals Academy and gained administrative experience at both the elementary and secondary levels. Tonight, we are recommending him for an assistant principal position to be served at Ellen High School.
I'm excited and can't speak enough about the Aspiring Principals program and the opportunities that it gives folks like me to go out and apply a little bit about what we know and make sure that we really truly understand what we're getting into. I think that between that and Michelle Kearns and the leadership that I've experienced in my career, I'm really excited to work with a lot of LA people that serve the community. Thank you.
And then also in your recommendations is Matthew Doslake, who is currently a dean, and I've presented him to you before. He's not here this evening, but he's being recommended for an assistant principal position at Jennings CLC. And then last but not least is Jeannie Yost, who is in Hawaii, so she can't be here tonight. That's right. We are, yeah, imagine. So, but she's being recommended for principal at Roswell County. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Question, comment, Mr. Otto?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Mr. Bender for his tenure at Richmond and his ability he brought to that school, and parents have had nothing but fine things to say about him, and he's done a great job. My old grade school, before they rebuilt it, I stopped up and saw him, but years ago. But wish you the best luck up at Higher, and I'm sure you'll do well.
Questions, comments?
Well, I just wanted to congratulate Mr. Boxler and Mrs. Volchok for their outstanding work. Many times you don't get to see people who work behind the scenes. I was able to work with them, share with them when they were upstairs, and then got a chance to go over to the new facility and take a tour, Mr. David James and I, and share and have lunch with a large group of the staff that work in that building that they work with and now have leadership position over. And we have such outstanding individuals, electricians and plumbers and all kinds of areas. And then to know we have persons who have deep concern about our physical plants, willing to go crawl space and put in filters and make sure the filters are put in place and make sure the right filters in those places. So we congratulate them in their leadership positions in Akron Public Schools, in an area where you don't get a lot of fanfare, pats on the back, but it makes and helps the system run and run efficiently. So congratulations.
Any more questions, comments?
Get one other question. On the item number 11, supplemental contracts, the percent rate in the, is that the percent of their salary, or?
It's a percentage of the bachelor's degree level.
Oh, okay. I was unsure. I was doing some multiplication. It seemed to be close, but
And it
some
just
of
varies dependent upon the position that it is.
Right. Okay. Thank you for your time.
I was just going to ask a question on that as well. When you have a athletic director, and I noticed like football coach and their stipend is much higher, is there a rational reasoning? When you have an athletic director who's supposed to be for the whole thing, and the person under them gets a little bit higher stipend?
These are all negotiated contracts with the AEA, with the union, and are based on the different responsibilities of the position, how much time is involved, how long the season is, things of that nature.
The athletic directors also get at least one period off during the day, too, in addition. So they have some release time for that responsibility.
Okay.
If I may, the hourly, just to answer your question, the hourly salary for a head football coach that does his job comes down to about $2.50 an hour. So, having done it many years myself.
Well, that's my item, but I didn't want to go there.
Okay, any more questions? Any more questions, comments? If not, roll call.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yeah.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Otterman?
Yep.
Reverend Wall?
Yes.
Consent agenda.
Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 1 motion and 6 resolutions on the consent agenda. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval.
So moved.
Second.
To move to second, any question?
Item number 3, allowing to sell 5 dome panels.
For Firestone High School.
5 dome, that's
Jim, do you know? have
There's a
any information
planetarium
on that?
that bought a system that's equal to ours, that's very similar to ours, and since we're dismantling ours, they're gonna buy 5 panels of ours to be replacements for theirs. Because they no longer make those parts for
They have the
Okay.
same system operating, and they just, to disassemble that was very intricate and extreme panels that they couldn't purchase anywhere. They were literally had a system that would work, and the manufacturer that we dealt with to service it, put them in touch with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, questions, comments? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Otterman?
Yep.
Reverend Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Affairs.
Mr. President, I have before me for your consideration 26 business affairs recommendations. These recommendations are in proper form, and I move their approval.
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and second. Question?
I was just looking at items 12, 13, 14 that deal with, I guess, school projects, but I was more interested in 22, 23, all the way down to 25. And I guess those are just items, if you want to just give me an idea of what those are.
You want to start with 22?
22.
At 22, we are no longer able to use Erie Island School, so we're having to do some painting at Perkins Middle School to move our adult nursing program and an alternative program that we have at Erie Island over to Perkins. So this is just some basic painting to get that facility ready.
So Erie Island will be, for all intents and purposes, shut down completely.
Yeah, sure will.
And when will that take place? Do we know?
The end of August.
Right away.
Do you move forward with demolition, or what do you do?
I don't think that's been decided yet in terms of timing for Erie Island.
I mean, as that community's trying to revitalize, I don't think that they need another boarded up building over there, you know.
Mr. Boxer?
The plan is to hopefully get those folks moved end of August, early September. There's a narrow window for nursing in August where they have 2 weeks of downtime, and then we want to get past moved before school starts. The plan on the final disposition of Erie Island has not been decided on whether we may work something out with the city since it's right next to city property. You know, that hasn't even been discussed yet. Right now, we just need to take care of our programs and get them up and running in Perkins. But Erie Island's boilers are no longer certifiable, which is why we have to do the move.
Reverend Walker, I did, and I apologize to all the board members, I didn't send it out so that everybody got it like Mr. Miller does. I did ask Deborah Folk about that too, because I know we have our own painters, but with the size of crews they have and the swiftness of time they need to have this taken care of, they had to hire, that was one of my questions as well. So they had to contract out to get those people in there because we don't have the manpower to get it done within their time. I think we're a crew of 2 maybe of painters, but we don't have 2 men couldn't get that done in the time they need to have it
Do you
done.
know, is this considered a temp move for these 2 programs? Are we going to leave that huge building open for just those 2 programs?
Well, it is for right now, and then once facility decisions are made over the next few months, we'll factor in a longer-term solution. Our plan is to have them move into an existing facility once we see capacity, if we're redistricting, we're looking at enrollment. We certainly don't want to keep that building, continue to keep it open if we can fit them in someplace else.
And I just want to comment after, at our meeting on Friday, we saw how in item 25, the Tableau system operates. And to take an overused term, it is awesome. I mean, I know that term's used, but to watch and see the data that's there and how understandable it can become to the average person, it's an excellent system and it's well worth the investment, in my opinion.
No, I would agree. I think that what we were able to see in just a few minutes with the data, I can't wait till the rest of the board can get a look at how deep of a dive you can take and how it'll be able to be used on the building and on the single teacher level. I think it's going to be amazing for the district. And I think Mr. Penland's going to like it too. I think that it had nice treasurer implications too, so I think finance should probably take a look at it as well. Thought of you immediately. Yes.
Did you also want to hear about item 23, or was
Well,
that
I
the
think
2?
I'm reading,
okay?
and I think I'm in pretty good shape.
Okay.
I assume that something happened with the air conditioning. It's an emergency repair. So is this a temporary fix, or is this going to be something that's going to be lasting us some time? Yes, you're getting your work done already.
North High School, the main air conditioning for the BOED wing is essentially shot, to put it nicely. These repairs we're hoping will get us by another year instead of replacing a $250,000 system right now. So these are outside mechanical contractor fixes we can't even buy original parts anymore for the system. So these are rebuilt parts and repairs to hopefully get us through one more year. And if we get more than a year out of these parts, that's great. But typically out of rebuilt parts and reconditioning and these type of repairs, it gets us a year in lieu of $250,000 replacement.
For people who don't understand, not all of North High School is air conditioned, so
Right.
that's only
Correct.
vocational ed
Right.
and isn't the special education
I think they're in that
also
same wing,
is by
and those
multiple
areas have no
disability, yeah.
windows.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no ventilation there.
So it's really important that we have it for those,
So that's critical.
those folks.
Those areas get very, very hot.
Yeah, they do. I can just see people sitting at home going, I don't have air conditioning in my room.
Kids gotta be able to stay focused, so we gotta have that air, make it comfortable as possible for them so that they can learn.
There's just no outside windows in the room at all.
Okay, any more questions, comments? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Otterman?
Yes.
Reverend Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes. Superintendent's report.
The only item I have, there's a handout at your place that just summarizes our upcoming facility meetings. I thought it would be good to put them all in one place. That lists our 3 community meetings at Kenmore North and Garfield that are next week, where we'll be getting feedback from those communities in terms of the options, facility options that have been provided. And then the Akron Council of PTA, and then the superintendent is planning on gathering that information from the community meetings and the PTA meeting that will be on July 22nd. And then over the next 2 meetings in August, August 8th and August 22nd, between the joint board of review and the board meeting, then all the feedback will be shared. Any additional options that can't come out of that, the community meetings and the feedback will be shared at that time. Okay.
On these community meetings, what is the role of the board in these meetings?
Well, we should be present at those. I know I won't be there, Patrick is getting baptized by fire here, but I won't be able to make
It will
it.
be formal too.
Right,
So
it will
we'll
be
call to
formal
order
and
and
call to
we'll-
order, just like a regular board meeting here, similar, I should say,
Yeah.
similar.
I need to go on record that I will not be available all week,
And
so
I won't be
my
available all week,
apologies.
so I'll be in a general conference.
So noted.
If there's anything you need from me that I can do ahead of time, I'll be happy to, but I will not.
So we like all board members if possible to be there.
And we
Okay.
will have an agenda and a similar presentation. We won't assume that everybody in the audience saw the earlier presentation, so we'll do a presentation in a similar type format and then have a protocol to receive feedback.
Are these with city council as well, or this is just the school board?
This is your
Just our board, our
meeting,
meetings,
yeah,
okay.
your meeting. Now certainly the city council members may come and attend, especially their own ward meetings, but it's your meeting.
And the Akron Council of PTA, that's their meeting that we can attend.
That's correct. Mhm. That's all I have.
Okay. President report, I have a couple things. One, I was just glad to see the new employees not new employees, but those who've been promoted, and glad to see that we've had some success here as Akron Public School students, as I noticed I listened to what is being read, and that just is nice to have former students, I should say, to come and work for the district and continue to do a good job and get rewarded and being promoted. So I wanted to address that or just say something about that. Number two, I wanted to, I forgot to last week when I was thanking everybody because I was out, and one of the people I shouldn't have not missed, of all people, was Rhonda Black. Rhonda Black sits at the front, and she is the most customer-friendly person that you meet when you first come through the door. And I wanted to apologize because I thanked everybody when I was out in the cards and so forth, but I did forget her, so I wanted to go on record thanking her for that because she was always sending words of encouragement and cards, so I had to say thank you to her in reference to that. Also, on a good note too, is I don't know if any of us noticed that Miller South, I think it's the Jazz Ensemble, has got chosen to perform at the Ohio School Board Association Annual Capital Conference this fall in November. And that's nice because you have all the school board members from the state of Ohio, you have attorneys, you have superintendents, you have assistant superintendents, you have everybody, even teachers who come to that. So it's nice to have Akron Public School students to be able to participate in that. So I wanted to tell them congratulations, and I look forward to seeing them when we go to Columbus. So I have to make sure we cut out time to go down and see them when we're down there at the Capitol Conference. And then third, we mentioned about the community meetings, and I wanted to take time to thank everybody in the community in the city of Akron for their concerns, their comments, their input. I know all of us around this table have gotten emails from community members, businesses, and so forth about what's going to happen with Akron Public Schools. And I think there's some confusion as to there were certain buildings that were being closed. Like I was told, I got an email that Bookta was being closed. And we want to make sure that nothing has been done. We had 5 options, and they were just options. As Dr. McWilliams-Wood stated, that we're going to have these here meetings so that we can get more input from the community, and then we'll move forward from that point. So I wanted to make sure I stated that to everyone who may be listening. And I also want to say that we were always concerned about our kids, and we'll make the best possible decision and choose the best option for our students, which is first and foremost. But we also want to think about the community. So we are looking at all these options in order to not just help our kids, which is the most important thing, but also the community and homeowners, because we're trying our best not to try to put any type of levy on the ballot. And so we're trying to do the best that we can so we will not have to do that, because we want to think of our community members, because it is a little bit when we have to put a levy on, but it is just as important to have funds to operate a school district for our future. So both are important, but I wanted to make sure that I made a kind of little comment on that. That's all I have with the President's report. Treasurer's report.
No report.
No report. Community reports, I know we have legal, and I don't know if we have finance and capital or instructional policy.
We are presenting for the second of 3 readings prior to approval, policy 8500 revised regarding food services.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Walsh. Finance. Nothing, okay. Instructional policy? Nothing. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Yes.
I'd just like to say, when we have this, and I should have said it during the reappointment list for the administrative staff, if we could get the school names, you know, we got the principal, you know, middle school, principal elementary, but we don't have the school names on there, and it would be nice to know where they're at, and just in the event that some of us are unfamiliar with it.
And I did speak to Superintendent James, and I did ask him to give us that, so we will know where everybody is, because it says that people move from one position to another position, but where are they going to be? So we'll be familiar with that. So thanks, Mr. Ottoman, for bringing that up. But that is something we spoke to him about.
At your place, we did for principals, at least tonight, we gave you an updated list of principal assignments at your place. So you have that. It doesn't include everybody in that appointment book, but at least it gives you the principals.
Okay, any new business? No new business. I was told there's no executive session tonight. Okay. Since there's no, we don't have to go into, come back in the regular session, we need a motion to adjourn.
Wow.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved to second.
Alan,
Roll
you did
call.
great.
Mr. Miller?